What's up, y'all? Welcome to the TheArkaneSociety. Thanks for coming through. What we like to do here, we like to get into these clips, see what's true, what's not, and I like to hear from y'all most of all. Let's get into these clips, man.
Look closely at this photo from 1813. It's the city of Krakow in southern Poland, flooded. But this flooding is not normal. It can happen after a hurricane or cyclone, but much bigger. Take a look at the surrounded building that is half submerged. The flooding has been so bad that other nearby buildings are almost completely submerged. So what could have caused this flood in 1813? It was caused by the Great Flood of 1802 following a 600-foot tsunami. And the photograph shows the waters receding 11 years later, and the buildings that were underwater beginning to appear on top. Some have doubts, saying that the camera was invented in 1839, how they photographed the flood of 1813. Well, the camera was invented long ago during the Tartars, and after Tartaria was decimated, destroyed by the Great Flood of 1802, the camera was just reintroduced by parts that control the world today. So the photo in question was taken from the roof of another building, or more likely, from a flying object, for example, a balloon, which was used a lot at the time, and of an individual who survived the Great Flood and had a camera with them.
The more I see this Tartaria stuff and stuff about flood, the more I think that the flood that's in every culture around the world, and especially in the Bible, it makes me think that wasn't so long ago. Like it probably wasn't as long ago as we think. Now, maybe it wasn't the 1800s. It makes me think that great flood, that flood of Noah, and these floods that everybody talk about in their culture happened in a more recent time. Maybe before the 1800s, but more recent than we think.
They had a law that they created that said that anything other than grass could not be in your front yard. It's called the Beautification Act of America. Because people had whole farms. You wanted a lot of land, not to cut that sucker with a lawnmower, to grow stuff, to take care of your stuff. But no, we need you to go to the grocery store now. And keep in mind, the grocery store doesn't have anything growing. And in your mind, you keep saying it's a grocery store and there's nothing growing. You go to the pharmacy and there's no farm. But your mind has been programmed by lack, limitation, and not enoughness in a slave mindset. You're not able to put it all together here. There's nothing in here healthy. So the bottom line is we were taught to limit ourselves from our natural healing. We were taught to be afraid of getting into our natural self because that's paganism. Herbalism is paganism. You got crystals and you got stones and things, and you into these numbers. That's pagan. You got to go to the church to get your healing, and you got to wait till you die to go to heaven. But the book, I'm reading the book, and don't say that. Where's this in the book at? I thought it said something about creating heaven on earth. I thought it said something about you can do more than I. Once you realize that you've got to reach this divine state inside you.
Yeah, speaking on that, I had a friend, man, rest in peace to him, Brian Thompson. Rest in peace to him, man, and shout out to him. He told me one time in Miami, his grandmother told him back in the day, they used to have fruit trees growing all over Miami. But they cut them down, and now it ain't no fruit trees in Miami now. So it makes you wonder, like, why would they do things like that? And then you go in a grocery store, and everything in there is processed food. So it's like, then like the man said, you know what I mean? Like, when you read the Bible, man, it talks about the kingdom being within you, heaven being on earth. But then they teach you inside the religious institutions that heaven is somewhere you go when you die. But then also when you go to Ecclesiastes, it tells you that the place of judgment is under the sun. Well, where's under the sun? It's the earth. So it makes you wonder, like, are we living in hell and heaven, like on earth? Is this time period right now hell?
One of the craziest things about being an American is the fact that the largest living organism on Earth is actually in our country, and yet no one ever talks about it. The Malheur National Forest in Oregon is home to the largest living organism on Earth. It's called a honey fungus. It is a single organism that's over 3 miles long, over 8,000 years old. Yes, it's ancient. It is a giant mushroom, and the reason no one talks about it is because it's completely underground. Now, I want to tell you about the mycelium conspiracy theory. It's this idea that mushroom might actually be the most dominant life form on Earth, secretly controlling everything, animals, humans, ecosystems. Now, this is just a conspiracy theory, but the thing is, we know for a fact that mushrooms do control other animals. There's this species of fungi called cordyceps that literally are known to use mind control. After they infect an insect, their mushrooms begin to grow outside of the skeleton of the insect. And then they literally use mind control to direct the insect where to go so that way they can reproduce even further. And just a few years ago, this scientific paper came out that basically said that scientists have now seen that mushrooms might actually have consciousness. The more I learn about mushrooms, the more convinced I become of their intelligence. You think one day we might find out that they're actually smarter than we are?
Weird stuff that happens around the Sekhmet statue in Egypt. This is part 2 of me trying to explain the weird anomalies that happen when I visited a out-of-bounds statue in Egypt, because not only was there some pretty visceral, weird experiences, but also our cameras kept freaking out. And wait till you see the pictures. So where was I? This is a professional photograph done by a photographer who had his camera that he's had since he was 16 years old. And this camera is particularly good at taking very clear photos in low light conditions. He absolutely freaked out when he discovered that he could not focus his camera on this statue, and this weird like double exposed photo really baffled him, and he sent this photo off to his team back in Saudi Arabia to say, is there an issue with the camera? Is this a double exposed photograph of like 2 photos over another? Is his camera broken? What's going on? So the camera forensic people got back to him and said, no, this photo is not motion blur and it is not double exposed. This is some weird, this is what the camera captured when it was trying to focus on the statue and couldn't. For reference, here is a photo taken in another similar chamber with similar lighting. Same camera in the same temple complex, similar lighting thing. This is the kind of photo that you should be able to take, and the other one was his camera freaking out. Now, for reference, this is a straight-on photo of Sekhmet, right? Here it is. Here she is. It's very, very low light. The only light source is a tiny hole in the temple ceiling, which gives us a little bit of sunlight. Okay, so the photos before were taken on my last tour in September 2022. This photo was taken this week on the most recent tour, also taken by a professional photographer with his camera. Now, at first, I didn't notice anything wrong with this photo, right? It's just a person who's walking in front of the statue and it's got a bit blurry. Except that's not a person. The man took a photo of the statue with nobody in the room. This is not a person. This is nobody on the tour. Okay, here is an enhanced image of the photograph before, and you can see that this is not a solid or this was not a human that was in the room. Nobody on the tour was wearing a hat. Nobody was wearing a kind of coat like that. This is not a reflection of anybody. It's not a reflection of the statue, because I don't see how that matches or would even do that. Can someone explain what is going on? Now, I didn't believe in ghosts. I've never personally experienced like a ghostly supernatural experience, so I had no frame of reference. However, one of the Egyptologists that was on the group, when she saw this photo, she pointed out that this weird person here looks a hell of a lot like this Egyptian dude. Like, it's the same clothes, it's the same hat. What?
Okay, look, I think that might be true, right? I think that could possibly be true. But the only thing is that you have to be careful with photo manipulation nowadays, because and also video manipulation, because you could do a lot of things with the technology nowadays. But I'm not saying that it's fake. It could very well possibly be real. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man.
Travel in Egypt, and it's not on a boat. It's in these. These are giant granite boxes. This one's in Edfu Temple, and it's a throne. The temple itself shows you how to use these boxes for solar travel. You don't enter the temple from your temple, the two sides. You enter the temple from the center. Center is the corpus callosum that links the two hemispheres together. So symbolically, when you link the two hemispheres together, you earn yourself a wedget. Wedget comes out of the third eye, the one that can see the snakes. The wisdom of the snake is the physics of vibration today. Now the box is on the boat because the box carries you through the wormhole. That is the boat. That boat sits on the vibrations of the microcosm, the atomic, and the macrocosm, the galactic. So how do you interact with all this? The physical layers of your body are what you're inhabiting right now. The nervous system animates this matter using a mysterious force that science will not recognize. Closest analog that we have would probably be plasma. That invisible body is called the Merkaba. Mer being the light wave. The Ka and the Ba are your individual expression of the entire spirit of the universe. Merkaba is the vehicle used to surf those waves like Kelly Slater. Everything is working in torus or donut form. Electromagnetic link is the stream or channel that's created by the earth and the sun. If you're watching this video right now, you're on the shore, you're out of the stream. Enter the stream means to get in a boat. Those two videos are the physics explanation for this process. Interpretations of this in book form are also on sale for my birthday. Or if you have a perfectly carved granite box that I could use to try this out, drop a comment.
Never forget that humanity invented a fake resource and then let a tiny portion of the population use that fake resource to claim ownership of all of the real resources on the planet, hoard them, and then force the majority of people to sell the majority of their lives in service to them. And in return, the masses might be given enough of the actual resources they need to survive. And yet the people continue to go along with this. They keep pretending the fake resource is real. We have been successfully trained and gaslit into believing that the world could not function any other way. Programmed so thoroughly over multiple generations that the majority of people won't even question whether or not the world could or should be different. They don't realize that war is being waged against them. They no longer realize that they are slaves. And anytime you try to tell them, they just parrot the programming they've been fed their whole lives.
Like what she said, that's real as hell, man. Like
the technical marvels of the ancient world because of the exactness of the craftsmanship. There's clearly no mortar or cement or anything involved in its construction. And the question is, if this was supposedly the first building built by the Inca, why is it technically the most perfect? Nothing else matches it whatsoever. Other curiosities are these holes. These holes could have been made by the Spanish. If they're made by the Inca, what kind of drill did they have to do that? And here's where we see the incredible tight-fitting nature of this entire building.
It's no way nobody can tell me that the ancient people were either as technologically advanced as us, but in a different manner, or more technologically advanced than us. Look at that building that the man showed, bro. It's like some of these things you can't even stick a paper clip between it, or a piece of paper, a thin piece of paper, bro. Like you gotta at some point you gotta come to the realization that the ancient people were highly advanced. We can't even replicate a lot of the things that they have built or carved or whatever, like all around on every continent. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
This time I saw photos like these, I thought they were AI generated until I researched further. They're called ITC photos, led by researcher Hans Kennis. This work is both intriguing and very simple to do, so I had to give it a go. The next few are mine, and although they aren't as clear as other more experienced photographers, they are interesting nonetheless. Check out the clarity of the hippo's eye. So how does it work? Well, you need a light source like an oven light, a silver pan with water filled about a quarter of the way, a spoon or something to stir the water with, and a phone to take photos mid-action. Let's look at the grizzly bear I got. I agitated the water, I took photos on live, so I'm going through them frame by frame until I see something recognizable. The ancient Greeks, Egyptians, Nubians, and other cultures used water bowls for hydromancy. Kennis suggests this is a type of spooky action at a distance, where particles are entangled and the images photographed are the view of the entangled particle, which could be thousands of miles away or even in a different realm.
New Jersey residents are now reporting birds flying in highly unusual patterns, migrating by the thousands out of New Jersey just over the last couple of days. I don't normally inject my opinions, but when I do, I need my hat. First off, birds are highly in tune with magnetic fields. It's how they migrate in the first place. So when something unusual happens to the magnetic field, it can cause them to behave in the way you see here. Now, we've seen this happen before, recently on cruise ships in the Gulf of Mexico, only a few days before the last hurricane made landfall. A hurricane, I might add, that went completely against natural weather patterns. Coincidentally, researchers pointed out strange lasers beaming in the area from these towers, which some critics claim was there to direct the storm's path. If you believe in that sort of thing, not saying I do. What does this have to do with New York and New Jersey? Well, coincidentally, in this area, we have these towers here. And as you likely know, this is where the drone sightings are. And if I were to be the kind of person to wear this sort of hat, I'd say one possibility for this possible magnetic disruption affecting these birds is that they are using these towers to bring one heck of a storm to this area, or trying to attract something else. Side note, since I'm already wearing the hat and I have about 30 seconds left to film, in April of this year, this area experienced a very rare 4.8 magnitude earthquake. They came out in the news saying they discovered a new fault line, which could explain the highest magnitude earthquake recorded in the area for the last several hundred years. Could this have something to do with any of this? Well, we'll find out. That's a video for next time.
Yo, y'all better pay attention to them animals, yo. Them animals be knowing. Y'all better pay attention.
Is it true if you have a big drive for sugar, it could be a parasite thing?
100%, especially candida, because candida is sugar driven, but they thrive off of sugar. So you're feeding them instead of feeding yourself. We all have yeast in our body. So an overgrowth of yeast ends up being candida, which ends up being a parasite as well.
Are there ways to identify if you have parasites?
Grinding of the teeth, skin issues, a lot of skin issues.
Really?
Because this is our biggest organ. And so when toxins are trying to run out, they push out our skin. IBS, gut issues, bathroom issues.
Will it show up on a blood test?
If you get specific testing, yes. And especially if you do it over the full moon.
Full moon?
Because you know the full moon is a thing. They're the most active during a full moon. You know why everyone's kind of crazy during a full moon is because they're eating your serotonin. They live off of it. That's why they make you feel sad.
Into the frame came something else. It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead, which is represented by my thumb here. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, and then this thing flies up like this. Meanwhile, we're all going like this, fires another beam of light, goes around like this, we're going like this, fires another beam of light, goes down like this, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, I saw that. I don't give a goddamn what anybody else says about it. I saw that on film. Phil Klass can kiss my ass. He wasn't there. I was. Now, when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO."
See, I told y'all, what 2 weeks ago, I will find that clip and put it in there. That's the clip I was talking about, man. That's crazy. That thing came around, that, I don't know, UFO, UAP, whatever they want to call it, came around and shot that missile like that and made it come out the sky. But it's been reports that they really be sticking around the nuclear weapons and the testing facilities of the military, of different militaries around the world, especially in the U.S. But that's what the real ones, that's what they kind of up to.
So at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Pentagon held a press briefing where Press Secretary Sabrina Singh briefed the media pertaining to the Russian intercontinental ballistic missile launch that happened yesterday or early this morning.
First, can you confirm it was an intermediate range missile? Second, did Russia provide advance warning? And can you give us some sort of clarity on who they call and how much advance notice did they give?
Thanks, Lita. So I can confirm that Russia did launch an experimental intermediate range ballistic missile. This IRBM was based on Russia's RS-26 Rubezh intercontinental ballistic missile model. In terms of notifications to the United States was pre-notified briefly before the launch through nuclear risk reduction channels. For more, I'd refer you to state on that.
Very interesting. So what that tells me, since Russia contacted us to let us know they were launching it ahead of time, which means we knew ahead of time that that was going to happen. And I would guess that they reached out to let us know that, hey, look, we're not launching a nuclear missile. We're launching something that has no nuclear capabilities. We just want you to understand so that way nobody else launches nukes, like out of a response. Still pretty spooky to think about, but why do you think they reached out to us ahead of time to let us know what they were doing?
Yo, so check this out, right? It's pretty crazy that in 2024 is when they launched it. Russia is shooting ICBM. ICBM stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles, right? And usually ICBMs, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong in this, usually they have nuclear warheads in them. ICBM, why would they do, like, that's big. I better buckle up, man. 25 about to be crazy.
But people don't understand what this missile is.
That's the missile, you see at the bottom right there, that's the missile coming down and striking, bro. That joint look crazy. If y'all ever seen the video of it hitting, that joint is crazy. But it make me wonder, like, if they sending a message out to all the nations like, yo, look, we got these ICBMs, and the crazy thing about it is the ICBM, right, it doesn't go at a set speed. Like, the way they built it, it changes to different speeds. So so basically the man Putin was sending a message like, yo, we got these missiles that we could put warheads in, and we'll let these joints go, and ain't nothing y'all could do about it. That was the message right there, man.
This missile is the modern day version of the Skorost. You see, the Russians are building a missile that can be pushed forward and be ready to preempt Dark Eagle, our intermediate missile. The Russians just put the Mark 41 Aegis ashore on notice in Poland. That is a target. The target that will destroy it is this. Look at what this was. This is a missile that makes use of not the YARS, which is the Rubiej, the RS-26, this is derived from, used the YARS first stage. This uses the Cedar first stage, the Cedar. Now, most people don't know what the Cedar is, but the Ukrainians just came out and said that it's the Cedar. How would they know? Well, they have the debris. And on the debris are serial numbers, and the serial numbers show what the booster was. This is the most modern booster that the Russians have. Similar in size to the R's, so as it doesn't change the configuration of the system, but it has unique solid fuel principles that allow the missile to burn in variable speeds, making it impossible to target. The other thing it does is it has it doesn't use traditional MIRVs. I keep hearing people say multiple, independently targeted warheads. That's not what this was, not at all. This is the new system. The new system is, instead of a bus, a plate, so to speak, where the warheads are attached, that separates from the missile and then comes in and releases the warheads to their target on a trajectory, though, because it's still moving as this happens. What we have now is independent mini missiles that are there, and they fire themselves. So the first stage takes it up, second stage puts it in, and then you fire these independent missiles. And these missiles, each one of them had 6 large submunitions on them. This is where the name hazelnut comes from, because if you look at a hazelnut tree, you look at the pod of nuts, it's exactly what you see with these submunitions coming down. This missile was developed specifically to take out Dark Eagle missile arrays. If you take a look at the layout, the footprint of the Dark Eagle, where the radar is, where the command and communications are, where this missile is designed to annihilate that. People kept saying, where's the explosion? It's not meant to be high explosive. It's meant to be a kinetic kill. And these submunitions come down and they will kinetically kill everything on the ground. These submunitions come down at such velocity that if they hit the Aegis ashore, it will be a smoking hole in the ground. This is what this missile is designed. Putin just put us on notice that he has a conventional missile system that is designed to preempt anything and everything NATO plans on doing to Russia, and there is no NATO response. There's nothing they can do about it. This is literally the equivalent of the most alpha wolf in the world coming in and pissing all over your home. That's what Putin just did, and it didn't have to be this way. Putin said right there, your withdrawal from the INF Treaty was the greatest mistake you have ever made, because now you have compelled us to do this. And here we are. We didn't want to be here, but because of all the provocations you've done, we have checkmated you. And that's the case. I don't think the West has woken up to what has just happened. It is over for the West. The only thing we can do is nuclear war. And sadly, we have somebody who believes that we can have a nuclear exchange. I just, again, want to have people reflect on what that means. It means the Biden administration is ready to sacrifice 100 million Americans for Ukraine. The Biden administration is ready to sacrifice 100 million Americans for Ukraine.
This is not an attack by Putin on Ukraine in the way that we are told every day. This started in 1990, February 9th, 1990. James Baker III, our Secretary of State, said to Mikhail Gorbachev, NATO will not move 1 inch eastward if you agree to German unification, basically ending World War II. And Gorbachev said, that's very important. Yes, NATO doesn't move, and we agreed to German unification. The U.S. then cheated on this, already starting in 1994, when Clinton signed off on basically a plan to expand NATO all the way to Ukraine. This is when the so-called neocons took power, and Clinton was the first agent of this. And the expansion of NATO started in 1999 with Poland, Hungary, and Czech Republic. At that point, Russia didn't much care. There was no border other than with the Königsberg, but other than that, there was no direct threat. Then the U.S. led the bombing of Serbia in 1999. That was bad, by the way, because that was a use of NATO to bomb a European capital, Belgrade, 78 straight days to break the country apart. The Russians didn't like that very much. But Putin became president, they swallowed it, they complained, but even Putin started out pro-European, pro-American, actually asked maybe we should join NATO when there was still the idea of some kind of mutually respectful relationship.
Did y'all know that? Did y'all know Putin was pro-American and pro-European? I didn't know that. That's new to me.
Then 9/11 came, then came Afghanistan, and the Russians said, yeah, we'll support you. We understand to root out terror. But then came 2 other decisive actions. In 2002, the United States unilaterally walked out of the anti-ballistic missile treaty. This was probably the most decisive event, never discussed in this context. But what it did was trigger the U.S. putting in missile systems in Eastern Europe that Russia views as a dire, direct threat. In 2004-05, we engaged in a soft regime change operation in Ukraine.
Now, this the important part, right? Like you said, in 2004/05, the Americans conducted a regime change in the Ukraine, right? We got this dude Zelensky in there right now. I know this joint might be kind of heavy, but y'all just bear with me, man, and listen to this, because this gonna really educate you on what's really going on with that war over there today, so we know how this whole thing came about, rather than we just listening to what they telling us on the news stations about how bad this man Putin is. We really need to get down to what really happened between the U.S. and Russia and NATO and Russia.
But in 2009, Yanukovych won the election and he became president, and in 2010 on the basis of neutrality for Ukraine. That calmed things down because the U.S. was pushing NATO, but the people of Ukraine on the opinion polls didn't even want to be in NATO. They knew that the country is divided between ethnic Ukrainian, ethnic Russian. What do we want with this? We want to stay away from your problems. So in February 22nd, 2014, the United States participated actively in the overthrow of Yanukovych. A typical U.S. regime change operation, have no doubt about it. And the Russians did us a favor. They intercepted a really ugly call between Victoria Nuland, my colleague at Columbia University now, between her and the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Jeffrey Piat, who's a senior State Department official till today. And they talked about regime change. They said, who's going to be the next government? All of this is to say, the U.S. then said, okay, now NATO's really going to enlarge. And Putin kept saying, stop. You promised no NATO enlargement. It's been, by the way, I forgot to mention, in 2004, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, 7 more countries in the not 1 inch eastward. And then, okay, it's a long story, but
so yeah,
the U.S. kept rejecting the basic idea, don't expand NATO to Russia's border in a context where we're putting in goddamn missile systems after breaking a treaty. 2019, we walked out of the Intermediate Nuclear Force Treaty. On December 15, 2021, Putin put on the table a draft Russia-U.S. security agreement. You can find it online. The basis of it is no NATO enlargement. I called the White House that next week after that, begging them, take the negotiations. Putin's offered something, avoid this war. Oh, Jeff, there's not going to be a war. Announce that NATO's not going to enlarge. Oh, don't worry, NATO's not going to enlarge. I said, oh, you're going to have a war over something that's not going to happen? Why don't you announce it? And he said, no, our policy is an open door. This is Jake Sullivan. Our policy is an open door policy. Open door for NATO enlargement. That is under the category of bullshit, by the way. You don't have your right to put your military bases anywhere you want and expect peace in this world. They turned down the negotiations. Then the special military operation started. And 5 days later, Zelensky says, okay, neutrality. And then the United States and Britain said, no way. You guys fight on. We got your back. We don't have your front. You're all going to die. But we got your back as we kept pushing them into the front lines. That's 600,000 deaths now of Ukrainians since Boris Johnson flew to Kyiv to tell them to be brave.
Okay, guys, I made this second video kind of slowed it down for you, but I want you guys to notice the Pope's reaction once he notices who or what just opened the door for him. Notice his facial expressions. Notice the silent prayer he does once he sees what he's looking at.
Yeah, that boy looks scared as hell.
Yeah, it's that serious. He looks kind of stressed out. But now, pay attention to the guys who opened it. I showed you the first one, but look at the second one. And you can look for it yourself. You can see it all yourself on YouTube. It's a 4-minute video. Go check it out. But look, no ears. Nothing. You can see nothing. Look at that. What is that, bro?
Yeah,
that's not.
Yo, that's crazy. Yeah, that could be like some camera mess up or something like that, malfunction. Because I think they did say they came from 1990. But yo, I don't know, bro. That shit look weird. And they said that was was that the tomb of Satan that he was opening up? I don't know, y'all. My question is, why is they face warping like that? Like, what makes your face warp like that? Like, is it, because I know people saying it's the camera and all that, right? But I never seen that with a camera before. I don't know, man. That shit just look creepy, bro.
Okay, so we all know the Pope opened this holy door. But But I want y'all to check out the people who opened the door from the other side. Look at them very close, man. It's hard to make out their faces. They look kind of strange. And I know I'm not tripping. The one guy looks translucent. Just peep it out. I zoomed in on it. And I want all y'all to go on YouTube and check it out for yourself.
I mean, look at this face, bro. Y'all excuse me, but look at his face, bro. He looks scared. He ain't looking like, yeah, you know, oh yeah, we about to open. No, he looking like, oh, what the hell is about to pop out of here, bro? Like, he looks scared. Look at his face. You tell me.
Man, so let me know I'm not tripping and get back with me. Just watch, pay attention.
The man looks scared as hell, bro. Y'all can't tell. Nobody can't tell me no different. The man looks scared. Why is this man opening his door looking scared? He supposed to be the Pope, right? He supposed to have God on his side, right? Well, why the hell is he opening his door scared? With that scary ass look on his face.
Check him out. He wants to open the door. Look at him. People all weird shape. Not zooming on his face, you can barely see it. It looks weird, but watch this when he walks off. Boom, his shit. What the fuck is that, bro? Come on, man. There's too much going on. But yeah, let me know.
I don't know. That man just disappeared.
Yo, what's up? I think a lot of people are going to be really surprised when they find out why this UFO thing has been covered up all these years. And it's not going to be what people think. A lot of people think that the government or whoever the powers that be are hiding this from the public because, oh, we can't handle it. That's why we never told you, or we want to keep the crafts to ourselves so we can reverse engineer them, or we don't want people knowing that these are interdimensional beings or coming from Zeta Reticuli. Whatever the case may be, a lot of people, that ain't the government don't care that you know that UFOs exist, first and foremost. They could care less. The big secret, the real deal that they're trying to hide is like the power in you. The power in you that's been bestowed upon you by God. This UFO thing is going to lead to that. It's not going to lead to like a godless world. It just ain't going to happen. It's going to lead to a world that every single person on this planet will know God. And I'm going to tell you how. The UFOs that are coming, a lot of people, like, let's say it came out tomorrow. Oh man, these are coming from here and here to there, wherever it's coming from, right? Then they're gonna realize, oh, these craft, they're great craft and they can do what they do and they can help, you know, in the physical world. But then they're gonna realize that these craft are being flown psychically, right? These craft have been manifested, right, through thought. These crafts are built through thought. They're not built by hands. That's why they're seamless and all that, right? And then they're gonna realize, you know, we're gonna have to start having conversations with the beings, with the aliens. We're gonna have to start having conversations with them, right? And then from those conversations, we're gonna realize, dang, I can do it too. I have, God gave me all these powers. Remember, Jesus said, you can do what I can and more.
Right.
He meant that, John, for real. It wasn't just saying it just to say it. Then we're gonna say, hold up, wait.
Now let me hit y'all out with something, right? And y'all tell me what y'all think about this, right? It seems that, you know, when they get into these ancient texts that we have from, you know, the ancient people, such as the Bible and they all really all of them, right? When you get into them texts, right, they tell us that these things are metaphors and all this stuff like that. But it seems as though these people really meant what they said. Like, he's talking about when who they call Jesus said, you know, you're gonna drink poison and you're gonna do miracles more than I did. Well, he really meant that shit. Like, that was really meant. It wasn't no illusion about that. Like, he really meant what he said. The man walked on water, you know, as it says in the text. It say the man walked on water. It say the man turned water into wine. It say the man healed people. It say the man He'll made the dead get up. So I know that type of stuff sounds far-fetched in the reality that we lived in. In my opinion, it's really not that far-fetched.
I can do all this stuff. We're gonna realize we're all connected as one, right? That's why they say there are no secrets. We're gonna realize we're all connected as one. We're gonna realize our true God powers. And we're going to realize we don't need to be governed. We don't need you, bro. We don't need the government govern us. And they're going to have to surrender their powers that they've been having over us. See, the people in the know been eating good, knowing this power, because they've been using it and manipulating it. It's no coincidence that you have all these secret societies running around. They're taking advantage of the good and leaving us out high and dry. And we manifest the world they want to have through the movies and the TV shows and everything they put out. You know, people take it, they may not think they are, but they put it in their subconscious. And then that manifests the rest of the world. But once we come to realize we can be all love, all light, all the time, that's a whole different world.
Because check this out. When I was young in elementary school, right? And I've been thinking about this. Like, why? Like, they taught me. I remember my teacher telling us that there could never be a utopia. It's impossible. Now, my question is this, right? I'm a little kid in elementary school. Why do I need to know that? Like, why was it a point to teach us that there could never be a utopia? Was it to make us believe in our mind that that's never possible, so we would never think that it's possible, we would never try to attain it? But it makes you wonder, like, why do they teach us certain things in school and tell us certain things are impossible or it can never be done or this is just the way the world is? Is it because, now y'all, I know, look, I'm about to fly off a handle, right? But is it because possibly that collectively we all can control this reality based off of how we think and what we think and, you know, things like that? Could that be the reason why they teach us these things and tell us certain things are impossible and make us go to school for so many years to brainwash us to fit into this system that they created? Y'all think about that. I know it sounds far-fetched, but yo, think about it, right? Don't just cast it off. Just think about it. Let's go and finish this video.
When everybody starts knowing that. So that's the big secret. This is all consciousness. All we are is slowed down light waves, right? We're light waves, bro. We're light waves, fam. We can manipulate gravity. I mean, we can manipulate matter with our thoughts.
Right.
You can't.
If we gonna take the story to be true of Jesus, right? Which there's other people that's written up that's done things like this as well. But let's just hypothetically speak. Let's take the story as true, right? How did this man walk on water, change water to wine? Like, how could you possibly do that? You would have to be able to rearrange the molecular structure of water to that of wine mentally. That's how you would have to do it. That would be the only way you would be able to do it.
I don't care what nobody tell you. It's already coming out. Even the eggheads are saying it. I hate to say eggheads, but even they're saying, like, all you gotta do is put your intent on anything and it will manifest itself into this reality. But that's a whole nother video. I mean, it is very easy to do. That's why they can't have that to the masses. You know what I mean? This junk would be wide open. But yeah, a lot of people are going to be surprised when they think this whole thing is just like all about nuts and bolts and aliens and all that. Okay, the government knows you know that. That ain't stopping them. They don't want you to know the big deal, how powerful you really are, right? It's going to come out either way.
All right, y'all, that's the end of the video. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate y'all coming and hang with your boy. Please hit the subscribe button for me and like the video so we can, you know, push this out to many people. I'll holler at y'all, man. Peace.